My name is Agata Skalska, and I'm working at the university in Düsseldorf, Germany. And today I wanted to tell you something about the little review from Janusz Korczak and how we can hear the children's voices through it. So I will share my presentation with you. So I hope you all can see it. Yeah, the topic is the little review, which was published from 1926 to 1939. And we all know the Korczak writes the right of the child to die, the right of the child to the present day, the right of the child to be what he is. But I would add a fourth right to this right, the right of the child to be heard and to speak. An answer to Korczak's demand was the Little Review. It was a newspaper from children for children that allowed a dialogue within the children and between the generations. A children's paper was supposed to give the children a possibility to communicate with each other and exchange experiences regarding school, teachers, adults, and to discuss plans and dreams. It was Korczak's intentions to create a children's newspaper that was inspired by regular daily newspapers. He wanted the newspaper to include real actualities and not fairy tales or made-up stories. The first issue was published in 3rd October 1926. And unfortunately, we now have not enough time to talk about the Little Review more detail. But I will tell you something about the part where children speak and are proven to be heard. Here you can see the topics that children talked about. You can see a very, very main topic was school. Another topic was, for example, fair and unfair. A lot of children were speaking about things, what they think that is so fair and not fair. In this paper, the children are fighting for rights. You see here, Walka dzieci o swoje prawa. That was a topic in one issue of Little Review. And they say that Polish saying, fish and children have no voice, loses its meaning because the children themselves demand freedom of speech. Zosia, for example, writes, there will come a time in which we should remember our rights. We want that our voices are being heard just as much as the voices of the adults. We want our own representatives in the parliament. We want to have what King Maciuś I fought for. On the basis of the letters within the Little Review, it becomes clear that the children would like to have more self-determination. They want to decide what they were, how they wear their hair, and where they are supposed to sit in class. They try to appear more self-determined, but by establishing a self-administration. Furthermore, it is being talked about the children value the belongings and properties and that they need their own pocket money because not only adults, but also the children have expenses. The first and most famous example is from the 25th of February, 1927. Here you see a letter from Roman. Dear Mr. Editor, I really beseech for advice in a certain topic in which I don't know how to help myself. My mommy and daddy and even my uncle told me that I need to study for the entire summer so I can pass the exam for the 1st grade. And when I passed the 1st grade, my uncle promised to get me a bike. I did what I had to do, but I didn't get a bike. I asked my uncle for the bike, but my uncle always promises from one day to the other, to next. The editors answered, Uncle, the word was promised. Roman did his part, now it's your turn. A few issues later, Roman writes that he is super thankful because he has got his bike now. The complaints of the children and teenagers even showed their impact on public authorities. After the children complained multiple times in the Little Review that there were no cinema and theater shows for younger audiences, the Theatre of Warsaw put an advert in the paper and announced a theater show for children. There were a lot of complaints, for example, about the barbed wire fence in the Krasiński Park that were discussed in the Little Review. Because of this, on the 8th of April 1927, there was an announcement of the Warsaw City saying that there will be no longer barbed wire fences in any park, including the Krasiński Park. And the last important example that showed an immediate effect is about the critical discussion with the title of the newspaper by a boy called Henrik. It was published on the 29th of March 1929. He said, "I read the Little Review with much attention, which is, by the way, not a problem for me. I know that the newspaper is not a book and it will never replace one. The paper teaches us that there are many people on this earth, that there are many cities, a lot of people carry the same name and have varying concerns and varying opinions. I now look at the students from smaller grades, at the girls and even at the small children differently. I often think about the children that are my age, but live in other and smaller cities. I have a connection to them regarding their differentness. I suppose the editor doesn't like being criticized, but I have the feeling that the Little Review has a mistake because it doesn't answer our questions. No experienced person tell us how it's supposed to be. Instead, all letters are being collected and sorted, and the readers need to figure the things out on their own. I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be like this, but in this case, I wonder, why is the Little Review a paper for children and teenagers? No, it's a paper of the children and teenagers. And that's what it should be called like. It's not the editor or some adult employee that writes for us, but it's us alone that write for us, and the adults that read this paper, for example, the adults that are close to me, maybe sometimes thinks this is a provocation, but it isn't. But it's not like that. People do everything for the children, for the good and for the luck of the children, and that's appealing. And a garden and a house and books and of course also the school are for us. But these thoughts, complaints and annotations are exclusively ours, not only for us, not sacrificed by the adults. This is about a small change. The editors don't need to print this letter. I don't even ask for a quick reply. I will wait patiently for a few months until the letter goes through all formalities and gets a passport and a visa. I will wait whether the word "for" will disappear from the header. The answer of the editors that was printed right under this letter said, "Already in this issue, we put into effect the not small and important change that was suggested by Henrik for the heading of the Little Review." That's how this was the first issue that was not called Little Review, newspaper for children and teenagers, but Little Review, newspaper of children and teenagers. My conclusion is, with this newspaper, the children learn more about topics that they are interested in. They get to know how other children live, how the editor or the newspaper works, how an orphan lives in an orphanage, what it's like to live in a small village or city, and which topics are important for other children. On one hand, the children get a chance to talk about their lives and the environment, and on the other hand, the right of the child for freedom of information is being expanded. This is a requirement in order from an own opinion to participate and to plead more rights. With a little review, a forum is given to the children and teenagers in which they can articulate their opinions and in which they are allowed to express praise or criticism. I want to end my speech with these words of Henrik. To the adults, readers of the Little Review. Did you see how the first issue of the Little Review was very small, then it was big, and then the last 19 months is already consisted of 2 pages? The Little Review is interesting. Every issue gets more interesting. All the children write in moments where they are free of work. Everyone writes what they saw and which concerns they have. So why the saying, fish and children have no voice? You shouldn't compare children to fish. Now we have a voice. So throw the saying and the author away. Thank you very much for hearing me.